Okay. Yeah, thanks to Tim Sund, professional keyboard player, and I'm happy that he has joined our company. Yeah, my name is Stephan Schmitt. We are pleased to be invited here, and and also since some months, the C15 is also in the SchneidersLaden on the shelf. So we are really happy to build up this relationship now. Okay, so my role is to tell a little bit about the background of the instrument and the company. Maybe first about the company, and then explain some of the technical concepts and features. We are, or it's maybe the history starts when I founded Native Instruments, so I was very much in the audio software domain for a while, and in 2012 I left Native Instruments and I founded this company, Nonlinear Labs, and it's more a hardware thing. But you will see inside it's still a lot of software and also lots of the know-how that comes from this background with the Native Instruments. So the idea was to build an instrument for a certain, let's say, target group that is not so much covered by Native Instruments. I have a big passion for live music, for musicians who play and improvise and have take the full risk to go on stage with just using their hands. And so I wanted to build an electronic instrument for this, let's say, non-electronic styles of music. But in the end, you will see it's something that this works for all styles. It's a very interesting source of sound. And we were very radical in the beginning. We didn't give it any connectivity, so no MIDI. And nothing automatic, so everything hand-driven, hand-played, and if you don't play nice, it doesn't sound nice. This was, I think, we revised this decision, but it was the right decision in the beginning because we focused on a very playable instrument, so getting the most out of something that has black and white keys. Okay, so meanwhile we have a MIDI implementation, and maybe you see that there is a USB connector, and we can use this USB connector for going into the MIDI world. Okay, so if we have a look at the hardware, it's a two-piece construction. Yeah? It's quite unusual. Actually, the guy behind the construction is Simone Fabri. He's a brilliant mechanical engineer, but now he is also running a company with modular stuff. And so I think he got the kick to go into this field when he was with us. And so it's a construction that has a bass unit, and an upper part is a panel unit. And Simone wanted the whole thing to be very slim and not this, let's say, typical workstation flagship thing, but something that is more stylish and more compact. And this the good thing is with panel unit you can also unmount it. You can leave it at home and you can still play because everything is inside of the bass unit. The bass unit has a display. It has some buttons, and at least you can record presets and do things with the bass unit. Going on stage and having a very small footprint there. Okay, so on the panel unit, you see a lot of buttons. So we have five panels here. One is the central one with a display and encoder. So Tim was using this also for changing presets, but it's also the place where we change parameters, but we select the parameters by using the buttons. So we have 96 buttons that address the parameters. So while, for example, I have this similar sound like here before. So what I did, I selected the flanger, I changed the rate, the amount. I did something with the filter. Oops, sorry. So yeah, okay, we have maybe something in the echo. I don't know, it's very high. So I'm editing the sound by pressing a button, moving, or editing the parameter that is in the display, and sometimes I have several parameters there that can I switch to. Okay, so with the bass unit, we try to make musicians happy in the way that it is, I forgot to tell about, it has a very high quality keyboard. It has ribbons, it has connections for up to 4 pedals. So typically we use 3 pedals like we have set up here. We have a bender that is unique, not 100% unique. It's similar to what Nord is doing. But I like the way that you move your hand to the side and you can do vibrato. Since we don't have LFOs, this is the place to create periodic movements. And so that's the bass unit. What I forgot to tell, it is really a thing that can make say a musician happy, and let's say this part is more the thing that to make the sound designer happy. It's a workflow. In the beginning, you are skeptical about, let's say, the number of buttons, and that is not one knob per parameter, but there are more than 300 parameters in this sound engine. So you cannot have 300 knobs.
And I think one unique thing is also that you actually always see the value really that is really there. I mean, if you have all these many encoders, then you always have, when you switch a preset, when you change a preset, it's always different. So in this case, you always see what you have. And that's something actually that I like very much as a musician, that it's not always in the wrong place.
Yeah. Otherwise, you would need incremental encoders and displays and so on. Okay, so there's one more thing about the panel. We have decided for this generic layout also because we can replace this fault very easily. So they are the labeling for the parameters, and so when there is an update or even a completely other engine, it can be replaced, and we can send the people new faults. So talking about updates, it's a fully digital engine running inside. Currently it's 24 voices, but maybe in future more voices. We do lots of updates over the time. We have expanded the feature set, we have expanded the quality, and extended. And it's an evolutionary process, and you can have this evolution only if you have a software project inside. Okay, that is the second user interface, and it is available on all devices that have Wi-Fi and browser. Could be a notebook computer, could be a tablet, or even a cell phone. And so that we give full access to all parameters and all the presets in this environment. And it's like a map. We can zoom in, we can move around. We can, for example, have a closer look at, let's say, at this filter. So we have more details when we zoom in and less details when we zoom out. We have all the features that are accessible here and some more, because if you have a computer, you can do things like search, compare, and rename things easier at least than with a smaller display. And the advantage of a screen is you have more space, you can present more information. And this is the biggest advantage when you deal with presets. So we have lots of banks here, like a pre-installed library. Okay, maybe I like this sound. Because, yeah, you can create now your own bank, yeah? I take this one, and so on. Yeah, you see. This one was better, and so on. So I can build up something more for my own project. I can, of course, edit these presets and rename them, and yeah, I can also store the whole thing on the download it from the browser to the computer or upload it to some other bank, so I can have everything also on my hard disk or share it with other people. Yeah. So that's one big advantage of this user interface, and I would say if you deal with parameters and sound editing, this is the nicest way to go. Yeah? So all our power users, they prefer to use this. But if you have to administrate parameters, this is the way to go. No, sorry, presets, not parameters. Yeah? Okay, so that's also a place where we access the manual. So it's like an HTML manual, and it's available in this environment. And we also have a recorder. I will talk about this later. And it's the way, let's say, the user interface for the internal recorder, the audio recorder. Okay, so let's have a look at the sound engine. The sound engine, yeah, for this we
switch to the.
Let's go to that graph here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's actually, you heard quite a lot of sound that might also sound like sample or wavetable based synthesis, but it's not. So there are some nodes that we have, except no MIDI in the beginning. There's also no samples, no wavetables, no say vintage emulation. So we are not interested in emulating anything that has existed before. It's not. I don't know. There's enough companies doing this, let's say. So there's no complex knowledge and complex data inside. So it's quite simple, minimalistic modules that we are using. So there's 2 oscillators, which are only sine oscillators. We have 2 filters, a COM filter and a state variable filter. Next, yeah. And we have 2 mixers, the output mixer and the feedback mixer, and some effects also, like a chain of effects. Yeah. And so with only 2, everything that you heard was based on only 2 sine oscillators. And that's something that, okay, it doesn't work if you don't create overtones by phase modulation. Phase modulation is what Yamaha calls FM. Yeah. So we have an FM section with the 2 oscillators. Let's go here, yeah. So they can modulate each other's. And we have a special filter with a COM filter that is more in the physical modeling domain. With the state variable filter, you're more in, let's say, in the domain of subtractive, analog style structures. And we have the feedback path, which allows us to bring signals back in the feedback, and I will show this later. And this is quite unique. So you have to, if you want to learn the C15, you have to deal a little bit with FM and a little bit with, let's say, special filters and resonators, yeah, and also with feedback loops. That's something that's, but it's very rewarding. So spending some time with it will show surprising results, and yeah, it's lots of fun. Okay, so if we switch back to the top camera, so we see that the We have also color coding here. I don't know if it's visible. So the orange part is like the oscillator A, the yellow is oscillator B, and envelope and shaper. In addition, we have these the two filters. So it's the same structure. On the left side, we have envelopes and oscillators, which create signals. And on the right side, we have kind of filters and resonators. Yeah? Also, if you think about a reverb, like a resonator. And so this structure is, let's say, spread over the panel here. And you see that we have LEDs lighting up at the places where we have active, let's say, active stages. So something running and it's not neutral, not muted. And so after a while, you learn from this, let's say, from this picture, what is going on. For example, the simple thing is that these are the mix parameters of the effect. So I see this effect is not used, this is not used, but these three effects are used. In the output mixer, I see this channel is open and this channel is open. Okay, so this was like it's like a signal flow that you can follow with your eyes. Okay, let's go into the engine, and let's switch back there. Mm-hmm. So, okay, this was the new bank. I initialize the engine, and everything is 0, and I don't have any sound. So the most important place to go in the beginning is the output mixer. So I need to open something in the output mixer, and I take channel A, which is the oscillator A. We have a soft sound coming from just a sine wave oscillator, nothing else. And an envelope that is decaying, so it sounds like a piano or so. Let's make it sustaining. So what can we do with just this sine wave and some, let's say, phase modulation options? We can, it has already some, I was wondering. This is the sine wave, and it gets more overtones when I increase the self-modulation. So I have a signal path that is taking the output signal, bringing it back to the phase modulation input, and then we get something like a sawtooth. And if we apply some envelope amount and some attack time, so we already have something like a brass sound. Bit of reverb. Just the oscillator itself, nothing else. Yeah? And it's very dynamic, because the envelope has an amount of velocity that we have a very high resolution velocity processing here. And so the envelope gets higher, and then we get more self-modulation, and then the envelope slower, we have softer sounds. Okay, so that's the way what we can do in this domain of sawtooths, which is brass, on strings and so on, or typical synthesizer sounds. I will bring it back to the sine wave. And I open up the second oscillator now. It has the same pitch, so that we don't hear anything. But now we have two sine waves. Let's make the second one shorter, because we have two envelopes. One is for the first and one is for the other oscillator. When I mute the first oscillator, we hear the upper. It's like a partial. And it can sound a bit like a marimba. Make it even shorter. Now it gets more in the glassy domain. But this is additive synthesis. I take one component, next component. I could add more components and have envelopes for each of them. But more effective when it comes to overtones is FM, or phase modulation, what's the right term. And I use the second oscillator now as a modulator for the first one. So without modulation, with modulation. And I apply the envelope again, the second envelope. Now we have this marimba thing, but more complex. And okay, so there is also the possibility to have a cross modulation. So the second comes, or the first comes back to the second. So if you listen to the result, it gets quite noisy already, because there's lots of things going on there. But if we tame this by the envelope, it's just, the noise is only in the beginning, and then the rest is clean. Yeah. So this is nice for metallic sounds, for percussive sounds, and so that it's also so because you get non-harmonic overtones. Yeah, with a classical sawtooth oscillator, you have harmonics, but nothing in between. Good. So that's the oscillator department. I take down the modulation here. And we have a short look at the shaper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the shaper is something that we put behind the oscillator, and it's also a sine wave curve that we use for shaping. And so if we mix the shaper to 100% and increase the drive, this was a sine wave before, yeah? Now it's a shaped thing. Sounds nearly like a filter because we get fold back and so repeating waveforms inside. But it can also be used just for saturation. And then we get square wave. So this is the sine, getting more and more square. We don't need a filter for this, as we just change the drive of the shaper. So that's, yeah, a small excursion to the shaper. So if we combine the oscillator with the shaper, yeah, I can do this. Maybe have more. So we get, it's already a waveform factory, that I call it. Yeah? So you create waveforms. Maybe it's not completely intuitive, or let's say you get not the waveforms from the catalog, yeah, that you get, but you get yeah, so many, let's say, morphable results. And so let's take this waveform now as something that we want to filter because it might get too bright or, yeah, bites in the ear. And so for this, I go erstmal die Übersicht.
Yeah.
So the oscillator can feed its signal to the shaper, to the state variable filter, and we have these 4 channels here. So the state variable filter hasn't been in the game up to now. Yeah, so let's mute the first channel. We don't hear anything. Let's open the state variable filter and try the cutoff, the resonance. In that case, I like to combine the pedal. Oops, this was the wrong parameter. And I assign it a certain range. Now we the oscillator waveform with a lot of overtones being filtered by this low-pass filter that is, 4-pole, but a bit special. Let's have a look at this, the filter. Yeah, it's a filter that consists of two-pole filters, and they can be detuned. So that's what we call spread. Without a spread, sounds like a typical electronic filter. With the spread, we get a vowel. Like a mouth thing. It can run also as a bandpass. High pass. And it is everything is morphable again. Yeah, so we don't have switches. We don't switch between waveforms, filter types, effect types. Also, everything is morphable by mixing, crossfading, and similar measures. And also, everything can be connected to the pedals or to the ribbons. Yeah, it can be moved. Yeah. Or you can connect CV to the pedal input and move it by CV. Okay, so let's go to the next thing. This is like the comp filter. For this, I start again with my init sound because it's easier. So let's create a short burst. So make it brighter, make it very short. The envelopes can go down to 0 milliseconds, and in that case it's like 1 and 1.5 milliseconds. You still have some pitch in there because it's like a burst of the oscillator that is used. So yeah, you're right. There's the comp filter diagram. I pitch the comp filter down because it's a delay, and I want to show that it's a delay. When I mix the comp filters in, here there's a second burst coming, yeah? And it's a delay with feedback, so we can create multiple. And you hear it can become a tone. Yeah? If you maybe you know flangers or echo devices where you turn up the feedback and then you get a tone there. It's similar here. So let's go back to the pitch. So the pitch. It sounds a little bit like a string, plucked string. It gets more like a plucked string if I use the high cut or the low pass filter here. Because with physical bodies or objects, they lose per oscillation, they lose some energy. And so if it oscillates very fast, which is with the overtones, the energy is lost very early. So you lose the high frequencies first, and then you still have the base frequency or the fundamental left. It's interesting what is the oscillator, the influence of the oscillator. So the oscillator creates the burst. Sounds like a formant or like a flageolet. As we have now a different content. This is repeated by this high amount of the feedback. Okay, let's go back to more like a guitar style thing. But another thing is now the overtones are very, let's say, equal, or they are, let's say, in a harmonic order. What we hear now is still the same pitch, but with a lot of detuned overtones. So I'm tuning the all-pass filter. Maybe you show the user interface.
Yeah.
With the comp filter. double click and in the header of the computer. Yeah, there we are. So we have access to the pitch, to the all-pass tune, to the resonance of the all-pass, but the main two things that we have been using, you see, the high cut and this all-pass thing. If the all-pass is out of the way, it's all up to 25 kilohertz. And it comes into influence when we tune it down. Okay, so this is a way to create, again, something metallic, something physical, something acoustical. Yeah, that's but without using samples and without using, let's say, predefined material. It's just the behavior of this comforter, and together with some, let's say, other components. Okay, so maybe it gets boring to have always something that is decaying and it's percussive, so we can try to excite the thing with a permanent excitation. So it's like, instead of picking a string, plucking a string, we can bow the string. I'm tuning the oscillator, and I get resonances and then something in between, and it's a problem to get under control. So there is a feature of the oscillator that I didn't show in the beginning. It's fluctuation. So if we have this oscillator, we can tune it down. It can run like an LFO as well. And with fluctuation, I get an irregular behavior, and this means a noisy behavior. Yeah, this would be the tone. This is the jitter on the tone. And if I use this as a maybe a long attack. You can imagine a cello or so, yeah, bowing. So that's the way how we can use other, let's say, exciter material. Instead of this burst, I use now something that is like a noisy thing, yeah, here. That's what is the input, yeah, of my cello string. And I can apply this, and and so we are dealing only with one oscillator currently, and only with this one filter. So we can combine, of course, the two filters and have a second oscillator maybe running as a second, say, spectral component. I want to show the feedback, because that's something also unique with the instrument. So get back to the plucked sound. It's low. Okay, we have the feedback mixer. Maybe you can show that up there.
Here, okay. Yeah.
No. Here's the feedback. Yeah. And we can bring back the signals from the output of the COM filter to the input of the COM filter. And it means we get more than 100% feedback, and it will start to do self-oscillation. Yeah. There's also a shaper, a nonlinear stage there to get to prevent explosions and to keep the levels in under control. And with some tweaking, you get also into the domain of blown instruments, flutes, and trumpets, and so on. Okay, so that's the feedback as we have it immediately, let's say, in the loop, yeah, from the comb filter to the comb filter. But we can run the feedback also from the comb filter through the state variable filter to the output mixer through some effects and then back here. So we have more like a behavior that you get when you, yeah, it's like the good old rock guitar thing or so, that you have something that creates, yeah, there's a string, the signal goes to an amp, it's amplified and limited, and it comes back as a big noise in the room, and the waves are exciting the string. And that's what we can do. Or a second part. There's also the reverb influence because we have a reverb beta signal in the feedback. Okay, there's yeah. Let's say about the sound engine. Are we out of time? Yeah, ready. Huh? Part 2 is coming up, yeah. Yeah, I mean we could make a cut here if you want. So modulation system would be, and yeah, some more things like mono, unison, layering sounds, split sounds, and so. I would say, yeah, but talking about modulation, just 1 minute. We don't have LFOs. Because I don't want to have arpeggiators, sequencers, LFOs in the thing, because it's already music, and I don't want to build music into the instrument. It's a pattern. It's a something. Yeah, I want the musician to make music. But if you run the oscillators as low rates, yeah, you get stuff like this. So running at a higher rate. So it's quite open for experimentation, yeah. And again. Okay, so just it's not only an engine that can sound very, say, classical and say something that is very open to experimentation and sound design, and people in the film industry love it. So it's yeah, because they get their maybe very unique sounds from it, yeah, which they need as a signature.
The instrument looks very clean and innocent, but it can be a beast.
Yeah, I can make a really heavy noise with that. Okay, so I stop here. Yeah, and yeah, thanks for your attention. And later we can answer questions also. And Tim will play some more pieces now. And so yeah, thanks for now.
Thank you.